So if you're interested in mobile gaming at all, I would highly recommend checking this video out because this video is all about the Razer Kishi. So I've been using the Razer Kishi for the last couple of months, and I must tell you, it's made a huge difference in the way that I play games on my mobile, as well as stream Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 games onto my phone. So this thing has been a game changer in remote playing sessions as well as for games on the iPhone itself. Now, this is not a sponsored video. I did buy this by myself. If you are interested in it, there's going to be a link in the description, but let's get into it. So the controller has the typical button layout of an Xbox controller. This is the Xbox version of the Razer Kishi. So you can see it's got the A, B, Y, and X buttons on it, as well as a home button. It's got your menu selection button, it's got a D-pad, it's got two triggers at the top as well as two shoulder buttons. This particular one has the lightning port to it because I use iPhones, so I've got the lightning version of the Razer Kishi. You do get it in a USB-C version as well if you're an Android user. And the design of it is pretty cool because the way it works is you kind of open this up over here and it'll detach. The controller actually stretches, fits around your phone, and it's a pretty seamless connection. So I've been using another DualSense 4 controller with my iPhone previously, and it worked well, but there were a few problems. Let me show you what it looks like. So this was my previous setup. As you can see, it's a DualSense 4 with a phone holder on top. And I typically mount my phone this way and I play this way. And there's a couple of issues with this setup. First of all, it gets pretty top heavy, so I have to kind of hold it up like this because the phone kind of wants to go back down like this. Secondly, the latency in Bluetooth controllers kind of gets annoying after a while, especially if you're playing something like Elden Ring or something where every little millisecond of input lag makes quite a big difference. It worked great for a while, but as I said, because of the latency and the way that I'd have to hold this up, it would cramp my hands after some time. So I was looking for a better solution than the PlayStation 4 DualSense controller. So that's when I picked up the Razer Kishi. Now, one of the issues with the Razer Kishi is that it kind of doesn't support cases very well. Like my case is not going to fit in here. You just plug your phone in to the side over here. There's no pairing or anything required. The quality of the analog sticks I think is really nice. The D-pad is all right. Controller buttons themselves are a little bit mushy but not bad. I've heard that they've been improved in the Razer Kishi too, but right now this is retailing for about $50 versus the Razer Kishi's $100. That's why I decided to pick this up. And the triggers, they're a bit mushy. They're not as good as the DualSense controller triggers. No, they're not bad, they're serviceable for sure. So now let's check out some of the software. If you want to play something like Grand Theft Auto or PUBG on your phone, these games weren't really designed to be used with touch inputs. They were designed to be used with a controller. It feels so much nicer on the Razer Kishi. It's just a much better experience. This actually feels like playing a game on the Switch versus, like fiddling with the touch controls. So this controller is MFI certified, so it's going to work with every single game that has controller support. So as you can see, this is a way better experience to play something like Grand Theft Auto. Here we're going to try some Diablo Immortals. So here you can see how much more tactile and better this feels. Even though this game is designed for touch controller input, but it still feels so much more like a console game when you're playing it with the Razer Kishi. And this is a very good example of a game that's been very well optimized with the controller. So it feels very responsive, just like a console game. You're going to enjoy this game so much more if you play it with something like this. For long-term usage as well, this thing is pretty comfortable. You see there's a little bit of flex this way, but there's no flex the other way. There's even like a plate that you can put inside over here to make it fit tighter, but I don't typically find that I need to use it. It's pretty comfortable the way that it is. In terms of comfort and like for playing games long term, this thing is actually really nice. Now let's check out the main thing that I use this for, and that's PS5 and Xbox Series X remote play. And I have a nice beautiful 65-inch TV over here connected to all my consoles, but I don't always get time to sit in front of this TV and play. And there are certain games that I like to play remotely. I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring lately, and it's an absolutely massive game, but it doesn't have too much dialogue or story elements to it. So that's the perfect kind of game to play remotely on the PlayStation. So I typically play it as I'm watching TV in my living room. Before bed, I play for about half an hour, 45 minutes. And the Razer Kishi is the perfect device to do something like that. What's happening right now is my PS5 over there is actually being remotely controlled from my phone and this controller. So the PlayStation is handling all the horsepower. You do need to have a PlayStation if you want to do this. Now PlayStation and Xbox both have their cloud platforms, which you could use through this as well. But I'm currently streaming directly from my console on the same Wi-Fi network onto this. Now the only button that's not available on the Razer Kishi is the middle button, the touchpad that's available on the DualSense. If you have any functions mapped to that, you do kind of have to use the touchscreen. If you look at the rest of the buttons, all the other buttons are available to you to play just like how you would typically when you're playing PlayStation. Now this feels so much more responsive in terms of latency and things compared to the Bluetooth remote I was using before, the DualSense, and it's just easier to play games like this when you have less latency, especially if it requires fast reflexes like Elden Ring does. Now sometimes the PlayStation remote play feature does get a little bit laggy, especially because you're playing it over Wi-Fi, but overall it's a pretty generally good experience. I've been able to beat a bunch of levels in Elden Ring just on this thing, so as you can tell, it's still good enough. Of course, nothing like playing PlayStation right in front of your big TV, but you still get a pretty decent experience with this. That's the Razer Kishi. Pretty cool product. I think the build quality is really nice. For $50, picking up something like this really transforms your gaming experience on your phone. You're definitely going to be able to use it with a bunch of game apps on your phone. You can also use it for cloud gaming and streaming from your PS5 and your Xbox Series X. I've been super happy with this thing. There are other products similar to this, like the Backbone one and the new Razer Kishi V2, but I kind of like the compact size that this folds down into and the very minimal setup that's required. Very easy to travel with, very compact to put in your bag and do some gaming on the go. My only downside to this thing would be that there's no headphone jack on it. There is a power pass-through. You can charge your phone while playing the game, but apart from that, there's no headphone jack on this, which I think only the Backbone one has that feature. And I do wish there was some way to trigger your your touchpad on the PS5 using one of the buttons on this, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to have it. And sometimes opening this thing up can be a little bit finicky, and closing it up again, you have to be a little bit careful when doing that. It's a bit fiddly sometimes, but like I'm trying to close it right now and it's a bit, you just have to find the right groove to put it in and then it's fine. But typically I find myself like fussing with it quite a bit too much. But apart from that, I think for $50 this thing is amazing. I'd say even spending the $100 and getting the V2 of this, if you are a hardcore mobile gamer, then definitely pick up one of these. And if you like this video, hit that like button, leave me a comment, subscribe to watch more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next one.